So in this video, I'm going to go ahead and add in my beams. Um, so I'm going to go through this process. I'm going to add in the beams, and then I'm going to show you how you can do like curved beams and kind of do them rather quickly in your design, and then come back and break them. And then I'll go ahead and fill in the bays and copy it up. So that's kind of the plan for this step. All right. So here is our drawing. If you actually look in the 3D view, I already have my floor of my slab. I've got my slab extensions. I got my walls. I got my footings, and I've got my beams. And I even have an opening in my slab here. And I mean, sorry, not beams, columns. But if I come over here to level 2, this is where I want to go ahead and add my beams. Now, sorry about that. Now, when we're dealing with this, one of the options that we can do is we can actually come in when we go to structure and go to beam. One of the options up here is on grid, which sounds like a pretty good idea. I'm not going to do it right now because I want to change something first. Curves don't handle well. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to take all of my curves here, and so I'm just going to hold down Control and click each of these. I'm going to grab all these curves. The only one I'm not going to grab is the entrance, and because I want to show you what happens. And so I'm going to come over, and now that I have that, if I come down to my little sunglasses down here at the bottom, temporary hide and isolate, and I want to hide those elements. So all I have are basically straight lines and one curve. Now I'm going to come in and do beam. I'm going to do it on grids, and I'll just draw a window around all my grids. When I do, it's going to go ahead and connect them all in. But what you'll notice on this one is it does it as straight lines. So as it comes in, it's going to try to bring them in as straight lines. And so I'm going to hit finish right here. And that's not going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these 3 and hit delete. And then I can come in here and go to beam, and I can do an arc. So I can come in here and go, okay, I want to go from here to here. There we go. And I want it to snap to that curve. I want to do the same thing over here. So from the midpoint here all the way over to here, snap to that curve, and then last but not least there, oh, missed. Where are we? Beam. Here. Let's get back. Go back over this way. Here, and let's see if I can get a snap. There we go. And it's set in. Now this one, close the gap. Let me pull it back a little bit. There. Oh, too much. Something like so. There we go. All right. So now I have my curve. This area I don't have beams because this is supposed to be an open atrium up, so I just left that open. And so I have my nice little design here. So that's one of the ways you can do it. Well, that can kind of take a while. It's not that bad for this one. I only had 3 sections, but over here I've got a lot more sections. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back to my glasses and reset the temporary hide isolate. I'm going to go with a little bit different approach. So here's my plan. I'm going to go into beam, and I'm going to do just like I did before, except I'm going to do it the whole section. So I'm going to go from here, I'm going to go all the way up here to this one, and then along a curve. So now I have this one long beam, and this looks okay except for the fact that it's not really, it's not broken at those points. So what I can do, let me hit escape to get out of the command. So what I want to do is I want to break this beam. So I'm going to come over here. There's one called split element, and split element with gap is going to put a little bit of an automatic gap thing, but this one is one we're going to use. So split element, and then I can come in and click at each of my beams, and it just splits it at that beam. So a little bit simpler, I think, than trying to come in and do this all as one unit in your or multiple units in your design. And so what you can do is you can set up the beams that way. So let me go ahead. I'm going to finish these up, and then I'm going to come in and we're going to go ahead and add in a couple more of these, and we should be good. Okay, so I came in and I added the beam systems in, and I'll basically do them here, and then I'll kind of show you what I did to get these as opposed to the kind of weirdly lined up ones. And if you have weirdly lined up ones, that's fine. But I'm going to come in, I'm going to do a beam system, and I have this set for W8 by 10. I did fixed distance at 6 feet. And so I'm going to come in and just kind of click on one of the bays, and depending on what beam you pick is how it's going to align. So if you notice on this one, I picked this beam, it's going to align this way. I picked this beam, it's going to align this way. But it doesn't handle curves. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in like so. So the next question is, all right, well, how did you get it to kind of align like this? Well, you have to get out of the command, so I'm going to hit escape twice. And then I'm going to come in and edit one of these bays. So I'm going to come over here and click this. And up here is an option that says edit boundary. And so I clicked on it. And I can change the boundary thing, so I can come over here, and we have a little closed space. If I come over here and do this, hit the check mark, it's going to leave this gap in my design. So you would do something like that, you know, if you have an area that you want a beam system, but you're going to then put in a elevator or something like that, you can create that opening and allow that in your beam system. I'll click edit boundary again. Let's just move these out. All right, so those are all gone. Now, how do I align it? So I want it horizontal in my alignment. Well, what I did was I came over here to beam direction, clicked on it, and then you just need to pick a support. But the cool thing is when you come back and edit it, you can pick any support. So I can come over here and look for a beam like this one, and when I hit the check mark, it's going to try to align to that beam. So that's how you can set this up if you want to design it in such a way. So once again, you click the beam system, not an individual beam. It won't pick it that way. You go beam direction. Right here, pick supports. I'm going to pick this one right here and hit the check mark. And so it should be parallel to that one. So like I said, if you try to click here, see how you don't get the option and it's pinned and everything. You have to come in and select the whole thing, and it's going to have a little checker mark around everything. Then you can come in, edit the boundary, beam direction, pick a horizontal line or vertical, whichever one you want to use. And there you go. Now, what if it's really hard to pick the beam system? Like I'm trying to come over here and I don't quite get it. Or maybe you get the wrong one. If you hover over an area and hit tab, it'll normally cycle through all the different options. You just keep toggling tab until you get to the point that you want. And then you can select it and put in your information. So that's how you can set up your beam system. And I'll just keep things like this for right now. It's fine. I'll mess around with this. I might straighten it up a little bit later. Maybe I'll keep this one all with horizontal and this one with the semi-aligned. They're not exactly aligned, but that's okay. Okay, so if you look at this, the only thing I added the walls where the elevator's going up, the shafts, and basically set up like that. So let me show you how we're going to go ahead and copy these things up. So I'm going to come over to level 2, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a window around everything, and then I'm going to go over to filter, and let's talk about the stuff I don't need. So I don't need the elevation, and I don't need the grids, and I don't need the model groups. So I want the structural beam systems, I want the structural framing girders, the structural framing joist, and that should be just about everything. So let me hit OK. And let's just kind of zoom in here and see what's all been selected. You notice it hasn't grabbed the columns. It hasn't grabbed any of the stuff right here. Now I do need to make those openings. Ooh, do I want to do that now? Let me pause for a second. I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to hit escape real quick. Let's come in here, and I'm going to edit boundary, and this shouldn't take too long. I'm just going to go to rectangle, and I'm going to draw around these two, and then hit the check mark. So that'll open those up, and then I'll do the exact same thing to this right here. So if I hit tab, there we go, edit boundary, and this one's going to be slightly different, but not too much. And it's going to yell for a second, but that's okay. Well, let's Control Z that out. Let's just do this the simpler way. So I'm going to go up, over, back, over, and then I'll start back up here, up, over, back, over, and I guess I shouldn't have those beams in there at all, but you know better in 2020, and so I'll hit my little checkbox. Oh, I still have to trim out. So let's go here. And then I can do a corner. So I want that to that. There we go. And then a line from here to here. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. Line from here to here. See how that looks. There we go. That opens it up. And technically this shouldn't be here in the first place, but that's okay. I'll work on it later. No, I'll delete it because it bothers me. All right. So now we have our thing set up. And so now I'm going to come in, draw a window around everything, filter out the stuff I don't need. So I'm going to hit check none, and I want this, this, and this, and this. Oh, sorry, not structural columns, structural beam systems, framings, girders, and joist. I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to copy. So I got to go over here and go copy to clipboard, which is this button right here. And then I want to paste this, align to selected levels, and I want everything from 2 to the roof. And I'll hit OK. And this is a lot of beams, so if it takes a little while for your thing to spin out, that shouldn't be a surprise. So I'm at 53%, 55%. Life is great. We're just cranking through this. And I'll go ahead and put on pause until we get this done. All right, so now I'm up here on the roof. If you look at my 3D view, everything's copied up on all the levels. Now, because I didn't grab the structural columns, they don't go higgly-piggly and go shooting up to the top, which is exactly what I want. And so I got all of those. And what I'm worried about right now is right up here, I've got W8s here. And let's say I want to have a K joist or something like that in here. So what I need to do is I'm going to go up to the roof and I want to switch my my area. So I'm going to come in here, it's up my level, and I'll come in and select this, and then I'll go to change the shape type, and I look and it's not there. I've got W shapes, squares, and of course concrete. So what I can do is I'm going to go over to insert, and I'm going to load a family. And I've got to find this. So this is going to be structural framing, and it's going to be steel. And I'm going to go find one of these K series bar joist like that. And let me find one that is let's go find like a 1 foot depth. Let's go 12K3. So I'm going to select that and hit OK. And now if I select and I go to change it, I have my K series bar joist. But I don't want to do it to all of them, and that's going to take a really long time. Actually, it won't. What I can do is I can select one of the bays that I'm putting in the structural stuff, and then I can just right click and go to select all instances visible in view, because I'm on the roof, so that's the only one I want to change. And so I'm going to come in here, switch it to K series, hit apply. It's going to take a second for it to update. And once it updates, then I can come in and I can look in the 3D view and see how this turned out. Okay, so I'm in the top view, so we can just kind of look at this. And so if we zoom in, we can see we got our little joist. Now, it came up with a little bit of an error in certain areas because it was like, well, I can't really do that one because it's too short. And that's okay, that happens sometimes. So I just had it delete out and not worry about it. Pretty sure it's happening over here in this area right here, which it is because I can see that it didn't make it in that one. So that's just kind of an example of how you can go ahead and create these joists and then come in and change them to another beam or whatever. So hopefully that ought to get you a pretty good idea how to do beams and like how to break up or split one of the curved beams once you make the curved beams and things like that.